Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we got another fantastic first-class guest up in the building today. But before we continue, I want to remind everybody that we are live in Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to Najee Beyond the Glass. Happy New Year, brother. Hope you're doing well. All right, so before I introduce this guest, I want to let everybody know that if anybody has followed me on social media for the last couple of years, you know that I am a nerd when it comes to movies and albums, and I've done a top 10 film of each year and top 10 album of each year. And in 2023, one of the films that was in my top 10 was a film by the name of Playing Sam. And today, we're very lucky to have the star and the co-writer of that film. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Jenni Ruiza is in the building.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm actually, like I've said earlier before we recorded, that this is a pinch me moment because legitimately, I'm not even bullshitting. That Playing Sam, well, which is a film that we'll talk about later on, but I've talked about it on my show plenty of times already. Shout out to Ramon Pasante, shout out to Alante, shout out to all of them. That was legitimately in my top 10 films of 2023, and just being able to have the star of that fantastic film here is a blessing for me, Israel.
Goodness, thank you so much. Can I carry you in a pocket with me wherever I go? Because that would be lovely.
If you could fit me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll get into all of that.
Yeah.
But so I want to start a little bit from the beginning. So in my research, did I get this right? Are you actually born and raised in the Bronx, New York? Okay.
I know I don't sound like it, but I am.
Waterview Terrace or something like that. I forget exactly what section of the Bronx.
Actually, I was raised in the same section as Jennifer Lopez, which is very upsetting for me. So Castle Hill Avenue, but specifically Odell Street.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm giving my whole government out, but anyway, yeah, I was born and raised there, Parkchester, and then I moved to Wakefield, and the rest was history. Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's even though you say that you don't sound like it, like I think just your energy and your aura just it bleeds New York. You know, I get a very New York sense from you. Like you could be in Oklahoma, and people still know that you're an out of towner.
I carry that with pride because the other day when I was at the gym, this guy walked up to me. He said, "You look like a cop." And I took that as a compliment because I was like, oh, I must look really hard and mean, and I'll take it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I am an actor as well. And one of the funny things that's kind of a running joke between me and my friends that whenever I get booked for something, whether it's just a short film or like even VO work, and then I was like, hey, I just booked something else. And like, oh, okay, what are you, a cop or a crook this time?
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Is that generally what you get?
That's what I've been getting mostly. Like my first short film, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a demo reel. I didn't have much on my resume or anything.
Yeah.
I just simply got the role because of my voice and my hair. That's it.
Solid.
And that's all it took for them to say, you're hired.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm like, I'll take it. And it's good credits on my resume.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So long story short, I just channeled my inner Ray Liotta, and I did the best I could with that scene.
You got to create a name for your cop. If you don't get the name, because sometimes it's like just officer, create your own name and carry that with you until you get an actual name.
Okay, because in that credit, I'm just known as bad cop or angry cop.
See what I mean? Yeah, it's always some kind of adjective with the job role.
There you go.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you?
Oh, for sure. I don't think, with the exception of Playing Sam and work that I've done on my own and produced on my own, I've ever had a character name. So it's always been like receptionist, police officer,
reporter,
woman. I literally played woman. That was on my trailer. And I was like, come on, she couldn't have a name. So my partner, he was playing my husband in, this was Fantasmas.
Right. It's on Max now. People can watch it right now.
Yeah, but don't blink because it's a quick scene. But
Episode 3 specifically, ladies and gentlemen, toilets.
What? I love it. Yes, with A.D. Bryant, who was wonderful. But I was like, okay, so we got to create character names. So what's your character name? I cannot remember them. Don't ask me. But I knew that from that day on, that was the character's name. If I was ever going to play woman again, which like I've lost now, so I should probably like just create a new name. Maybe Rebecca. I don't know.
Yeah.
Belinda.
So we're Quentin Tarantino in this shit, meaning that we start at the beginning. Now we're somewhere in the middle. Now we're going to go back to the beginning again.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I do that.
No. I do this all the time on my show. It's very nonlinear. Like I don't look at this really as an interview. Like this is like, for lack of a better term, a first date. This is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, and I would naturally assume that you knew pretty early on that you were very performative and you always wanted to be in the arts. Like,
Yeah.
I could just picture, and I know you talked about this before, but I could picture like a little Jenni Ruiza in the backseat singing Muppet Babies at the top of her lungs.
You heard me say that.
Of course I did.
Yeah, and that's true. I sang it. I was in the car with my grandpa. I remember this very specifically. He had an Oldsmobile. It was a gray one. And I was singing it very low. And he heard me, and he lowered the music, and then I kept lowering my volume. And then I just stopped. And he spoke broken English. Spanish was his first language.
Right.
And he said, "Come on, sing, sing." And I was like, okay. But I rolled the window down so I could sing out. And I was very nervous to sing. But that was like one of the first, I guess, aha moments of, oh, I really enjoy this.
Right. So one of the reasons I bring that up is because I'm actually going to do a little bit of story time and a confession. I've never shared this with anybody before until now.
I love the secret, yeah.
So when I was a kid, I mentioned before that I knew that I wanted to act early on, very early on. Like the first thing that I saw was Bruce Willis in Die Hard 3, and that's when I said I want to be an actor. But I never really pursued anything about it because it was a mix of discouragement, insecurity, and I just didn't know where to go. Like I was never really sent to like acting classes, or I never signed up for drama or anything like that. There's just a whole bunch of mishmash that goes into that.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm getting at is when I heard you tell that story, it kind of took me back when I was younger, and this is kind of embarrassing. It's not very masculine, but when I was a kid, I actually used to love listening to these sing-alongs to The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Disney version.
Yes.
And I would always sing out there at the top of my lungs.
Can you sing?
No, I mean,
come on, tell me the truth.
I think I can handle it. I think I could.
Yeah,
do
fuck
something.
yeah, you can handle it. Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe vocal lessons are in your.
Just so he's kept locked away so no one else can see.
Stop it! I heard that vibrato.
Yeah, I tried. I dabbled a little bit. Yeah,
yes.
I'm definitely a shower singer. That's for sure. I got Grammys on that motherfucker.
Oh, same. I mean, that's my whole thing. Is I have a
Right.
karaoke machine at home, and every Friday night, without fail, I'm doing a concert in my house. I will be doing that tomorrow.
I probably would. I'll probably do the same thing in my
Yeah,
shower as well.
there you
You
go.
know. And as soon as I hear back this episode, I'm definitely gonna go back to out there.
Yes.
But anyway, so I noticed that was something that I would do, and God bless my father, God rest his soul, because he allowed that to happen in the car when I know that my sister and my brother would have rather listened to something else. But that was what I did to get in my element. And looking back then, my father had always asked me if I was interested in doing something like that, but I always said no because again, there was the discouragement and the insecurity, like. And I told this on my show before, where one of the things that hindered me from wanting to pursue acting or anything in the arts, and why I wanted to be a director perhaps, is because I wanted to be behind the camera, because I was too shy and nervous about being in front of the camera. I didn't think I had a camera for a face for the camera. Excuse me, I can't even fucking talk. But no, that's what I was kind of dealing with when I was younger, and it just took a lot of growth and a lot of years, decades even, to finally just shed that off. As soon as I was able to get behind this microphone, I pretty much said, fuck it. I'm just going to go for it.
We were just talking about this before, but life is far too short. So
Right,
if there's something that, and for anybody listening, if there's something that you feel like, oh, maybe I could do it, just go and do it. You don't have to tell anyone that you're doing it. Like, I wish that I didn't tell anyone that I did stand-up comedy, because that was a terrible experience. But I'm happy that I did it, because I know, one, that's not for me. But two, it also helped me get out of my element of just being scared to be in front of a mic. And you'd be surprised how quickly you can learn how to connect with an audience. So that's actually like, I'm yearning for that again, not for stand-up comedy, but more performing in front of a live audience. Because that's where I got my start, was really doing sketch comedy and improv and musical improv. And it would scare the shit out of me. I would be shaking. I would be pacing behind the stage. I would have the runs. I know that's TMI, but I would do it. And then I would feel like, all right, when are we doing it again? So my goal this year is to get on a stage again. I would love to do a musical, but if not, I will take a play. But the goal is to just get back on the stage, because that's, I mean, the greats all are on the stage. That's how they started.
I mean, that's something that I would like to tackle later down the line. But I got to get some things out of the way first.
I got you. Yeah.
Now, do you Do you come from a talented, inclined family? Like, did you have any other family members or anybody in your family that were entertainers, actors, singers, or would you consider yourself the outlier?
I am the outlier for sure. Yeah, I come from a really small family, and so none of them. Unfortunately, I had uncles. I didn't really get to know them when I was growing up. They passed away from heroin overdoses in the 80s. How fun! But no, that they loved music. They loved music, but no one could sing. No one could play an instrument. No one acted. So yeah, I guess I'm the outlier.
Was that also a little bit of pressure on yourself due to the fact that there was nobody around you that was really into that, or?
No.
Okay.
No, for me, it was, I knew what I wanted to do. I'm from a very young age, and I always wanted to do it. And I always said, I am going to do that. And never once, and I think actually the time that I decided up until maybe a couple of months ago, I never once questioned that this is what I was meant to do on this earth. It does get daunting after a while when you do it for so many years and all you get is seemingly rejection, or nothing at all. And obviously, since the strikes, the industry's kind of been flipped on its head. And, you know, we're kind of at this point now where there's a lot of wildfires happening in LA and Hollywood is literally burning. So it makes you wonder, is this for me? Am I still meant for this? And then I thought, girl, shut the fuck up. Of course you're meant for this. But it's exhausting.
I can imagine. I mean, I haven't been nearly as long as you have, but I've seen the peaks and valleys and the trials and tribulations that comes along with it. Not just from my point of view, but other people that I know that are in the industry as well.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it goes back to what we care about and what we love and what we're passionate about. Like, at the end of the day, if you really want it, there's nothing that's really going to stop you from pursuing that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing this podcast for over 3 years now, and you know, I've gotten some of those things from family members and friends about like, oh, have you made any money from it yet? Is it going anywhere? This, that, and third. I mean, that's not what I got into this in the first place. And you know, that's and I think that was also one of the things that was very discouraging for me when I was younger, because I think at one point I did talk about pursuing something like this, and it wasn't that they talked down to it or they wanted to discourage me from doing it. It was they were like either subconsciously or not instilling that fear in me, and I think I just acquiesced to it, unfortunately, and then I had to learn how to shed it, and eventually I did.
I think for people who are not in the industry, it feels like a very elusive, sort of magical thing, or something that's not to be taken seriously at all. There is no in between. I found that, I mean, I'm very supportive with my family. I think that my family has been very supportive of me, which I'm very fortunate, because sometimes, you know, I've watched friends, sort of like you mentioned, be told, oh, this is stupid, why are you doing this? But I am very fortunate that I have a family that's like rooting for me all the time. That said, it's interesting to hear like some of the questions that they ask, because it feels like, oh, you think this is super glamorous and there's trailers everywhere and big movies. It's like, no. I spent most of my career in the indie space with a couple of different like high production gigs under my belt, which are almost as chaotic, maybe more chaotic than the indie stuff, you know, because there's a lot more on the line for indie creators than sort of productions. And when I say that, I mean, it's a different beast. But when you're an indie creator and you're working with indie people, there's so much heart and soul that it's almost like high tense and a lot of anxiety that comes with that world.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're passionate about what you do, but we're all human at the end of the day. Was there ever a moment at all in your life where like it was just maybe a little bit too overwhelming, where you're almost to your breaking point, where you almost just said, fuck it?
No, I don't think, well, yes and no.
Okay.
So the one time that I felt I had severe imposter syndrome was when I was working with Alicia Menendez. She had a show on what was then Fusion Network. It was an ABCO network. And she gave me my first on-air live gig. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I was producing that segment. I was writing it with her and another producer. And I, at times, would feel, because it was live, and I was like, do or die here. And, you know, some days I'd be super in my zone and I would nail it. And then there'd be other times, because I was doing this while I was working at Bloomberg LP, and I would literally lie and go on a long lunch break and whatever, and then go do this segment and then come back. And a lot of the time, I'd be having a bad day, and then I would get in my head like, oh, I stumbled on that word, and then I have to now try and catch the pacing because it's a comedy thing, and it was a moment where I remember I sat with her, and I was like, is this what you want? And thankfully it was, and we worked towards creating a character, like a persona for me. But I think that was probably the one time where I was like, oh, I don't think this is, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Mm. Yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. Looking back, I think I was a lot harder on myself. I could have just like fucking relaxed, but I think that was the moment.
I think that happens to all of us at some point, because remember, we're still very young, but back when we were younger, yeah, we thought that we knew everything. We knew that we thought that we knew it all.
Yeah.
We thought that this is going to be the zenith of our life, and but we have so much more life to live. But we're in that mental space at that particular time and moment when things get overwhelming and it doesn't go the way that we want them to. Then it can get very discouraging. It's just part of human nature, unfortunately, especially when you are trying to pursue something that you're extremely passionate about and you're trying to go at it and you're nonstop, and then just nothing is giving in. And but the work has to keep on. I mean, if anything, to me, it's an omen that there's just a lot more work that needs to be done, not that you're not doing the right stuff.
Yeah, I agree. There's certainly a lot of different things that I need to do, that I need to put myself in and so forth. And I think that I'm getting there. Like, I think vocal lessons is part of it. I think, I've been writing a feature with my best friend, Jasenia, I think we're working on this project for 4 years now. And, we're both sort of these perfectionists that need it to be right, because we want to star in it and we want to produce it and, have that sort of be our big intro into the world. But we're people at the end of the day.
Yeah,
we're people at the end of the day. But the two places in the world that I'm like, that is my home, is a set and the gym.
Yes,
more so the set than anything else. I could be on a set for 16, 20 hours and not blink at all. I don't need rest. I don't even need to eat. Don't even give me water. Just let me play and I'm great. It's amazing how that feels when you step foot and it's like, oh, this is home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So aside from, doing the comedy thing and doing other things on social media and also being an actor, it seems like sometimes, and it's kind of where I'm at right now, where if you want shit done, you got to get it done yourself. So sometimes you can't just wait for that right audition to hit or the right opportunity to hit. Sometimes you got to make your own. And I noticed that a lot of actors and creatives that are in the film industry are taking matters into their own hands, doing indie films and short films and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And you've done that as well. And there was one particular short that you did called Her Kind.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to explain to you a reason why I really love that short film. It's very simple. It's very short. It's not that long at all. But and surprisingly, you didn't really have a lot of lines, but I'm going to explain why it related to me. And when I saw that, it brought me back to a specific time in my life.
Okay.
So I remember more than 10 years ago, I was going to a trade school for something that I'm not even doing anymore anyway. I quit after 3 weeks because it wasn't for me. But while I was attending this program, I just remember one day, I didn't have a car at the time, so I was waiting at the bus stop, and I'm just waiting, and I'm listening to my iPods at the time, and then from a distance, I see at another bus bench, there's this woman, she's sitting by herself, the sun is beaming on her, and she's drinking this cup of coffee that it must be the greatest thing in life, because she just has this amazing grin on her face. It looks like she's feeling this joy that nobody else can take away from her, that she's feeling, and it's just simplicity. It's just the sunlight and coffee. Mm-hmm. And during this time in my life, I was just, I was lost in the wilderness. I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do in my life, and I was like, I would kill and do absolutely anything for just an ounce of that happiness. And when I saw that film, Her Kind, that's where it kind of took me back, because your character was going through a lot in their life, and it was just even the smallest little things that was able to make that character's day better on that particular day. And that's why I love film in so many ways, because not just to be entertained, but sometimes you could find that one piece of film or media that is certainly relatable to. Because I feel like if I was able to feel that way after watching that film, it took me back to that particular time, that could have been inspirational for somebody else that was going through whatever your character was going through at that particular moment in time as well.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. Yeah. It's funny because you brought it up and I couldn't even remember it.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a very specific time in my life where I think I was going through a lot. The world kind of felt like it was crumbling down. And the only way that I knew how to get out of it was by creating. And Jason Breton was the one that, and his brother as well, Brian, filmed and helped me produce that. And all it was, it was just a means to an end for a character to sort of cut through all the shit and connect with the person that was their safe space, which was the mom, and just hearing the voice at the end and, listening to the message that she left was like, okay, that's what brought her solace.
Mm-hmm.
It was a connection back to self.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, another short film that you were in that I absolutely really thought was good as well was Honey, which was written by Jay Bailey.
Yeah.
In your character particularly, what I really appreciated about your performance was the vulnerability and the understanding of a man who is going through this, basically going through a really tough time in his life with the fear of fatherhood.
Yeah.
So, but with you specifically in your performance, what is it that you do? Like, what is your process when you try to delve into that kind of depth and vulnerability that you displayed in that character on that film?
Music is certainly the thing that helps me the most. I knew that it was a heavily emotional film, and a lot of what was required of my character was deep emotional work. I'd never been a mother before. I'd never been, married before. So this was all stepping into a new character, Grace, that it was very uncharted territory for me. So the only way when that happens that helps me sort of create a character is through music. And so the one song that I kept listening to over and over as we would get off set, or as soon as Jay would yell, cut, I'd stick my headphones back in my ear and I would listen to Emily King's, oh my God, why is the song? Hold on, I need to get it back. Hold on. No, it's escaped my mind.
Oh, no.
Oh no, it's Emily King's. Hold on. Why is it not? Oh my gosh.
Being Human, Distant, Magic,
No.
Remind Me, Georgia.
I'm not gonna waste time looking for it. But
Okay.
anyway, it's this really beautiful song. I'm sure I'll remember it as soon as we're done with the podcast. But it was this song that kept on. It was a song about lost love, and I felt like Grace was losing her love. And she was desperate to keep it because there was something in her that knew that this was sort of the end for her. And the way that I saw it was, I think she died in childbirth. And so Connor's character, which his name is escaping me at this moment, but his character then raised their daughter together on his own.
Right.
So that's how I saw her, because I think that you have to you can't just have two bookends. You have to create the whole story. So that song, and I wish that I could remember it, was the song that helped me create that whole story to get to that vulnerability. Another thing about me is I'm always on the verge of tears. I'm always like ready to cry. So I was like, let's do it. But it's a great day to cry all day. Let's do it.
Is that a talent that you developed, or is it something that you have to go within you that you may have compartmentalized in life?
I was never a crier before until my dad passed away. And then when I started working through the grief, I realized, there's a lot of this that's pent up in me. And so now, most of the time when I'm in a conversation, you can either see tears well up in my eyes or, anything can be a set-off point, which I'm working through with my therapist. So thanks so much. But shout out to Maria. But yeah, it's something that I'm trying to now hone in and create as part of the craft.
See, that's the point that what I'm trying to get at as well, because again, one of the things that I think with simpatico is that I was a very big compartmentalizer earlier in my years, and then it wasn't until my very first heartbreak that got me to be a fucking crier. And now I can't do it on command, but there's certainly other methods that I could use to get me to get teary-eyed, misty-eyed, or even, dare I say, start bawling.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and this is a little bit of a cheat code I'll share with everybody, I actually, instead of listening to a song, what I'll do is I'll go on YouTube and I will go to the saddest scene in the movie Schindler's List.
Oh, boy.
And that is an emotional packed scene.
Yeah.
And me channeling Liam Neeson's character is kind of what gets me in that state. Like, I feel like if I'm on set and it requires for me to just, I don't know, like, God forbid a character's family member died or whatever, I would just like look at Liam Neeson's performance and then have to, all right, yell action, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. That's probably a healthier version of pulling up the emotion than, pulling from real life. I think that there's gray areas when you pull from real life circumstances.
Yeah, true, but you bring up an interesting point, because there was a time where I was extremely sad and depressed, and I feel like if I had just gotten the right role at that time, I would have given the best performance ever, because I'm just channeling whatever I'm going through. Now it's going to be a little bit tougher, because I'm actually in a very good place in my life right now, that if I were to do a role like that, it would require a little bit more work. Now, I'll do the work, regardless, I will, but it's just not going to be as easy as compared to when I'm having a not so great moment in my life.
Yeah, I will say this. The only time that I got cut out of a film, which still hurts me to this day.
Fuck y'all for cutting her out.
No, he's a good guy. I love him. His name is Jonah Feingold. He's a wonderful director. We spoke about it. But I put my all into this character who,
now I feel like I got to cut that out. God damn it.
It's okay.
All right.
I played a character named Zendaya, and which is interesting, but and foreshadowing. But anyway, I was going through a really sad period in my life. I was, very depressed, very on the verge, right? And me and my best friend in the film had a scene where I was telling her that I was leaving to go live somewhere else, and, this was sort of our goodbye. When I tell you I bawled, he let me do that on camera, and then when we cut, he walked over and he was like, "Hey, I just want to check in. Is everything okay? You really went at it there, so I just want to make sure." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine." And I thought, that's interesting. I wonder how that came across on camera. Lo and behold, he ended up cutting me from the film because I think I was just all over the place mentally and was not able to focus on this character enough to give her, a thorough, consistent story. And I'll never forget that, because I think that you can pull from real life, and I think that helps, but you have to cut, to a certain point of how much of yourself you're giving and how much of a character you're building. So that was a hard lesson to swallow, but one that I'll never forget.
Well, that's beautiful, and I feel like a bigger asshole for telling your friend to go fuck himself. God damn it, Jason. Anyway, so I want to actually also get back to playing Sam.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that I also really connected with the film is, just like you, and apparently there's a whole handful of others, is that I'm also Hispanic. I'm Colombian and Costa Rican, but I can't speak a lick of Spanish.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm actually getting better now because I'm working with a bunch of people that can't speak English, but I'm still not 100%. Like, I still have a lot of trouble, but I guess what I really appreciated about your character is that it was a perfect representation of people like me. I felt exactly what your character Sam felt, because here I am. I'm trying to make something of myself. I'm trying to do something that I'm passionate about, and here I am, probably getting misjudged or for something, or basically being called a fraud in so many words for not being part of the quote unquote culture.
Yeah. It's hard because I always felt like I never belonged to the culture. I never really felt proud of being Puerto Rican until I was well into my 20s. I think, honestly, the person that made me feel proud to be Puerto Rican is my best friend, Jess, because she is proudly Puerto Rican. And so I was like, oh, maybe me too. So, and I am sad for the younger version of myself that wasn't able to be proud of that, especially in my teenage years. But I never felt like I belonged. Even to this day, I still don't feel like I quite fit into whatever is supposed to be like the Latino community. Or I've always felt like an outlier in there. And that's okay. I think that it's just not it's just not where I fit in, I guess. And sometimes I look at breakdowns when I'm submitting myself, and, just recently I was really sticking to only Latina roles. And then I said to myself, why can't I just submit to this white person's role? I don't get it. I could be white passing, right? They pass as Latinas all the time. So why can't I do the reverse?
Because John Leguizamo played an Italian in Summer of Sam.
Bro, Jennifer Lopez plays a half-white woman in every single thing that she does. Literally. You know, I don't think I've ever seen her play, maybe with the exception of this last, I forget the name of the film that she just did about Ben and her or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. Anyway, you know, I think that was the first time that I actually saw her play a fully realized Latina. Mm-hmm. So I find myself now that I'm older, like, why don't I just go for those roles too? Mm. But the issue is that the industry always wants to box you in specific areas. My problem is that I don't think that I fit in those boxes. And so that is always in the back of my mind when I am auditioning. Unless I can connect to that role, I promise you, and I just don't book them.
Right.
You know, and that's okay. Not every role is for me.
Yeah.
But it's hard to try and fit into a box when you don't think that you fit into that box.
True. And listen, this is why I think films like Playing Sam is important, and I'm going to explain why. So a couple of weeks ago, I was on Instagram Live, and I won't mention this individual's name just in case this get back to him, but he is a fairly prominent music video director, and he's done a couple of films, and he's very well indoctrinated in the Hispanic culture as far as filmmaking is concerned. Okay. I just won't mention his name. I'll tell you off screen if you want. Yeah. But on the IG Live, I just happened to ask the question, do Hispanics who are not fluent in Spanish actually have a space in this industry? And he's pretty much said it, not really. Like, he didn't have a lot of confidence that there is a space for people like you, me, and others that are like us that can make it in the industry. And that's why I feel like films like Playing Sam are important, because it goes to show that it can be done.
Yeah.
It absolutely can be done. So I just think that if there's more films like yours and other people that are just like you and Ramon and everybody else, then absolutely. I totally disagree with them, but I just think that there needs to be more work that needs to be done.
We are not a monolith. And I think that when people start to understand that, then we can move forward. But I also feel that there is an insular problem that a lot of our community faces, where we tend to segregate quite a bit.
I know where you're going, and I love this. I love that you're saying this.
It starts with us, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we are still segregating ourselves, if we don't quite understand the roots of where we come from and sort of where our lineage breaks down and all of the facets of that, then we will never be able to break out of that. And we'll never be able to, I hate using the word teach, because I feel like we're not, it's not our responsibility to teach, but we at least need to learn. Because if we can't learn where we come from, then what is the point of all of this? What is the point of saying I am Latina? What is the point of me saying I am Puerto Rican when I can't back that up with, I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm also made up of all these other things. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I am not a part of this monolith that you as a producer or casting director or whatever feel that I should belong to. I am someone that is made of multiple things. Mm. So don't box me in a corner. Just see me for a character that I'm creating, and open your fucking mind to something a little bit different than what is on a piece of paper.
Right. Exactly.
Round
of applause. And, if you need any more proof of that, your film, which is a representation of people like you and other people like us, where do we premiere? At the New York Latino Film Festival.
Yeah.
I mean, that says it all right there.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. You got nothing else to say after that.
Yeah. No, I don't. Period.
As the kids say, period.
As the kids, yeah. Oh my
now,
gosh.
I want to get a little bit more deeper here if we can.
Please.
And, this is a weird time in the world and in our country and so on and so forth. So I want to read something that in my research and on everything on you and everything, there's something that piqued my interest, and I want to kind of bring it up. We're kind of going back in time now.
Yeah.
So back on November 9th, 2016,
oh my goodness,
you wrote this. I have never felt so let down, so ashamed by a group of people I share a home with. The president of this country that's so enthusiastic voted for this rape case pending. He's threatened multiple times that he would build a border and rip undocumented immigrants from their families. He openly admitted to saying that he would grab women by their pussies. Our country has elected a person who will project hate, buffoonery, misogyny, unintelligent views that will take the work of our beloved President Obama that worked so hard to show us, and we did nothing but take a shit all over that. This man is not my president, and I'm ashamed to be an American. This was 2016.
I wrote that?
Yes.
Good for me.
Hashtag not my president.
Yeah.
This was 2016. We're in 2025 now. Mm. And it looks like, unfortunately, history is repeating itself. Yeah. And hasn't even been officially sworn in, but we're already seeing it happen. So I already know what those 4 years, those turbulent 4 years were like for me personally.
Never forget that.
And I thought that we were done with that, but it seems like we're getting ready for the sequel, unfortunately, a sequel that we never asked for.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
So I'm not a woman, and I'm not a woman of color. I'm not a minority, anything. So with everything that has been going on in this political climate, and it's just a shame that some of the greatest people that you and I both know, respectively on separate spectrums, just are turning a blind eye into what you and I and everybody else are seeing and is privy to. So I just want to get your thoughts on back when you wrote that back in 2016, and it looks like we were about to relive it again in 2025.
Oh man, where do I even start? I am wildly disappointed at where we are as a society, but I am not surprised at all, because if we were not able to learn in those 4 years of trauma that was not the right move for our country as a society and as an economy especially, but specifically as a society, then we deserve this. And it breaks my heart that it's sad, because I just don't think that we are in a place where women are respected, where women of color are respected. And the fact that, I mean, God bless Kamala. I'm an atheist, but God bless Kamala, whatever she believes in, because I could not do it. The amount of restraint and respect and love that emanates from this woman, I really wish that we could have had that, and maybe there's hope for us in the future. But it's so disappointing that we had this awesome president, Obama, and I will fight anyone down who tells me that he wasn't a great president. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we could have this again, but how great would it be to be a woman, Madam President, to be able to say that we have a Madam President. Where we sit today, it's going to be terrible for us as an economy. It's going to be terrible for us as entertainers. It's going to be terrible for us as individuals who are just trying to consume the news and understand what's happening in the world, in the country, and in the states that we live in. I think that we as a society need to take responsibility and start really paying attention to what's happening and not turn a blind eye. I think, like, great, we've got this president again. He is going to complete his second term, perhaps, and we need to pay attention to what is happening. And when I say we, I'm not talking about people like you and I. I'm talking about people that think that they shouldn't be paying attention and are just solely relying on the fact that Trump is Trump. He's still not my president. I am very sad for the country, and I think that a lot of people are going to suffer that don't believe that they are within suffering's reach. Yeah, I could go on and on about this.
I think what saddens me about the whole thing, and I'm not even a political animal like that, but one of the things that saddens me is that people of our culture, quote unquote, are basically, they've been bamboozled as far as I'm concerned, because our people, along with other minorities, are a big reason why we're having this all over again.
I know.
That to me, that's the sad part.
It is sad, and I feel that this is what happens when you listen to sensationalized media. You know, and I think to a point, Trump probably got under a lot of people's skins by saying, you know, the media, like talking about CNN and MSNBC and all of these, what I believe are, you know, bipartisan news organizations that are just fucking reporting.
Yeah.
I think that the editorialism of some of these news networks needs to be checked, but sure. I'm an old school journalist where I am of the mindset that you do not mix opinion with the news. And I think that when the internet started coming about and, you know, and influencers started infiltrating the space, those lines got blurred quite a bit. And so that's where we are today, where you can't separate opinion versus, you know, with fact. Herein then lies the result of that, which is another 4 years of this. Maybe President Musk will, you know, take place, and Vice President Trump will fill in when necessary. But I think that is where we are today, and it's fucking sucks because you're right. A lot of Latinos voted for him, which I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either, and I'm not going to waste any more brain cells what I have left to figure it out.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as like you mentioned it from a journalistic standpoint, I'm not a journalist myself, but I kind of like to think I have a little bit of journalistic integrity.
Yeah.
In certain respects, and I feel like when you have a publication like the Daily News, which I remember years ago, they laid off 50% of their staff. And I thought that was actually a dark day for this country, and not to be hyperbolic about it, because if you don't have checks and balances in this country, then the bad guys are going to win.
Yeah.
And I feel like when something like that happens, that just goes to show that, somebody that's in power, a narcissistic fool that's in power, is able to cast aspersions on everybody else and what they're doing, and they fall for it.
Yeah. I mean, look at Meta. Meta has completely taken away all checks and balances to all of their platforms, and now it's a free-for-all. And similar to Twitter, I think that this is just adding to the fact that literally in the next 4 years, we're going to have to try and sift through all of that noise, and that is going to get exhausting really quick. First 100 days are going to be wild.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. You also one thing that I didn't realize, amazingly in my research, that I didn't know about this, but you just laid it out there, is that you are an atheist.
Yeah.
Would you also feel like, because culturally Hispanics are very religious and about higher powers and spiritual and everything, do you feel like that has also been a knock on you as far as your beliefs?
Well, just because I'm an atheist doesn't mean that I'm not spiritual. I do believe in spirits and being connected to something greater than. But I do think that people tend to kind of like, it's like a jump scare almost when you say atheist. There's a bad connotation to the word.
Right, yeah.
But in all actuality, it just means that I don't believe, for me, it's all about what I can see and what I can feel. I never had a connection to a God. I never had a connection to a Jesus. I was raised in the church like every other, right? Like,
and I'm just like you. Not sorry to cut you off, but I'm just like you, where like, a perfect example is like, I've been to church plenty of times in my life, and I cannot tell you one time where I felt the quote unquote touch of God, or I felt like Jesus was overcoming me with the Spirit or the Holy Ghost or whatever you call it. Like, I just felt like, can we go now?
Can we go now? Yeah. Well, I will say I love Catholic church because it's like just an hour and that's it. You're in and out. And I also love the smell of the church. But
very underrated. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have it in my house. The one thing that I really loved about church that actually made me feel something was the choir.
Okay.
So going back to singing, and instruments, and
this is why R&B artists need to go back to church, because they ain't singing good shit now.
They're not.
but that's another. It's
another episode. Yeah. That's another. We can get into a whole bunch of people there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad to know that you'll be back on First Class Second Place. But anyway, continue.
Well, I mean, it was the one thing that made me feel something, and I still to this day listen to gospel, which is weird because it's like, why is this atheist listening to this? But CeCe Winans, come on.
Yeah.
There are certain songs like. I don't know why I remember this, but her Purified album, I listen to that to this day. It's a beautiful album. It just makes you feel something. And for me, it just means that I'm feeling connected to the universe and what's out there. I don't know.
And I'm also laughing because that's a stark difference from Medina Howard freak like me.
Stark difference, yeah. And I will listen to both in the same session. Maybe I'll even sing both.
Hey, you're eclectic. That's awesome. I love that.
There you go.
So I also wanted to... just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
But going back to as far as like your art and everything and acting. So I know that you already got the film under your belt, and you have other things and projects that you've done. Yeah. I don't know if you're contractually obligated to not speak about anything else, but anything else that you have in the works or something that you would like to pursue later on down the line.
Yeah, so 2 things. In the works, so in March, a show called 0 Day on Netflix is coming out. I'm really proud of this, and I hope I don't get cut out because that would be really sad. But I got to work with Pat Capone, who is a phenomenal director who directed many episodes of Succession, which was like my favorite show.
I still have to watch it.
Oh my God,
yeah,
dude, I
have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, that one, like, put that one higher up on your list because that one, especially Kieran Culkin, I think is his name.
Yes,
fucking fantastic. His one-liners that I believe are probably improvised most of the time they really are out of pocket. So that comes out in March, and I'm in a small vignette scene, but I'm playing someone like that's batshit crazy because her money got stolen, and that's, I think, about as much as I can give for that one. But the other thing is, and I mentioned it, I think, up top, I'm working on a feature film that would be, one that Jenni and I have been writing for many years and trying to perfect. And I really cannot wait to put that out into the world because I think it's a grief adventure comedy. I think it's something that people need. I think it's something that'll get people talking. We play half sisters. How often do you get to, see what that relationship looks like and how it unfolds? So that's something that I know we'll be working on this year. We'll do the short in the summer, and then we'll get our financing. I'm saying this all because it's going to happen.
Speak it into existence. Absolutely. I believe in it.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I'm really looking forward to.
That's great.
Yeah.
But besides just being an actor, I know that you're just an artist in general, and it's subjective, and you don't have to put yourself in a box.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to pursue? Perhaps, like, have you ever thought about maybe directing more, maybe doing music? I mean, stand-up comedy unfortunately didn't work out for you.
It did not, no.
So
No.
we don't have to go back to that. but you're an eclectic person, and I feel that your talent is just beyond acting. So is there anything else along the line that you feel like you can pursue later on down the line?
I've always wanted to do a one night only concert where I'm literally just doing covers of my favorite songs, nothing original because I'm not a songwriter. Unless someone wants to write a song for me, great, I'll totally sing it.
Najee, you heard that?
Oh, there you go. I just want to sing the songs that I love, do a quick little hour set, be in and be out, and then that's it. One night only. Yeah.
Where can I buy a ticket?
Huh? Where can you buy a ticket? Whenever I find the venue. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean, like I mentioned before, when we started doing this episode, that I've been a fan of everything that you've been doing. I don't say that, just because you're on my show and everything, but at the end of the day, this is my show. I don't have anybody on here that I don't want to have. And me wanting to have you on here says a lot. The name of the show is called First Class, Second Place. Therefore, I think that Jenni Ruiza is first class. And I'm just very happy that you're here and you were able to share a little bit about your story and your projects and your passions and your views and everything. And this has just been a joy to have you here. I really appreciate this moment.
Thank you so much. By the way, the name of that song is False Start by Emily King.
Hey, there we go.
It. There you go. It's so sad. It's such a sad song about a love that is not. It's unrequited love. Emily King is one of my favorite artists. She's fantastic. I'll probably be singing some of her songs in my one night only show that I have yet to produce and arrange.
I'll check it out in the car. Hopefully I don't have a Vietnam flashback.
Oh my God. Don't cry. Don't drive while you're listening to it.
No.
This was lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. This is all my pleasure. This is the pleasure. I really, really appreciate this. But before we go, I do have one more segment that I just want to, so if you've seen the show before, you know what's coming next.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware about this segment, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to This or That. What we do here, this is inspired off of Black Sheeps. You can get with this, you can get with that. Multiple choice questions that are surrounded about my guests, basic ones, and also some tailored around her, so you guys get to know her a little bit more. And I think we're ready. Are we ready, Najee? Are we ready, Jenni?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Hopefully, we better be ready.
Yeah. How now, brown cow? Do whatever you got to do before you get on set.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let me see if I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. For This or That, you, Miss Ruiza, excuse me.
Yeah.
Playlist or podcast?
Podcast.
Okay. By the way, there's no right or wrong answers. It's just what you like best.
Okay.
Slides or Crocs?
Oh, slides. Ew to Crocs. Absolutely not.
Beach or pool?
Beach. All day.
Dogs or cats?
Oh, I have to say both because I have a cat at home, but I'm such a dog person. But my cat, oh my God, he's my joy.
All right, no problem. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird. Okay. It is well past my bedtime right now.
You and me, sis. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram. Fuck TikTok. It's going away anyway.
Oh, it's on its way.
Ban it, whatever.
I might have to change this after all a little bit.
Fair.
To give or to receive?
I'm a giver for sure, but I like to receive.
Okay.
I don't know in what context you think I'm talking about, but I will leave that up to you.
All righty. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Okay.
Gotham.
Iron Man or Captain America?
Iron Man all day.
Okay. Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm. Tony
Are
Stark.
you glass half empty or glass half full?
Empty all the time. I'm always on the verge. I'm always on the verge.
Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Embarrassed. Embarrass me all day. I don't care.
Would you rather be too hot or be too cold?
Cold.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat?
Window seat.
All right.
Yep.
Are you book smart or street smart?
Both.
Do you prefer reading or writing?
Reading in the morning, writing at night.
Mofongo or mangu?
Oh, mofongo.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dancing or karaoke?
Karaoke all day.
Yeah, I can't. My family can't dance. We can't move our hips.
I can't. I'm a terrible dancer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm Colombian, but my hips do lie.
They
anyway,
lie.
too,
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry. A couple more.
Yeah, please.
Quentin Tarantino or Steven Spielberg?
Steven Spielberg.
James Cameron or Martin Scorsese?
Martin Scorsese.
And then finally, excuse me, I got two more.
No, let's keep them going.
Ice water or room temperature?
Ice water.
Well, you got the iced coffee,
I got the iced coffee in the middle of winter, yeah.
Anomaly. And then finally, teamwork or solo project?
Oh, that's rough. I love to collaborate, but I feel that sometimes I can tell a better story when I'm working by myself.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, leave me to my own devices and I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I love collaboration because it keeps you accountable.
Yes.
And I love the idea bouncing off of each other, especially when you have a great person to do it with, then it's like, it's the best thing in the world.
I totally agree. And like I said, there's no right or wrong answer, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this or that. And that is going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. I really wish that we can continue this episode, go along further, but, it's both our past our bedtimes, and I don't have enough money to buy more studio time, but you could certainly help out with that by liking and subscribing and, reading in the, typing in the comments, keep the numbers going up, also donate to the show. We are listener supported, but thank you so much for tuning in. Ms. Jenni Ruiza, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate this. This is definitely a pinch me moment, and I'm definitely don't take this moment for granted. Thank you so much. I can't thank you more enough.
I can't wait to be back. Thank you so much.
Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to really quick before we close out?
3 people: Jasenia, Haibu, Jay Bailey, who's he just graduated. He's looking for work. He's a filmmaker, amazing. He did Honey, so if you
go check it out on YouTube right now.
Yes, editor, filmmaker, all that good stuff. And my mom, because I love her.
Your socials really quick.
Ruiza Jenni, wherever you go, Ruiza Jenni, because it's crazy if you spell your name Jenny with a Y. That's not me.
Jenny, we're not going to do that. All right, well, thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate this, and I can't wait for you to be back.
Thank you, yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We will see you next week. This has been the First Class, Second Place podcast. We out.